I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is the Glue-OOM, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha packs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Yo, Gloom listeners, it's the Plague, and today I'm talking about getting your finances as fit as your physique. Our very own F3 Omaha brother Jean-Claude, aka Michael Pfluger at Avior Wealth Management, specializes in building personalized financial plans. He understands the journey you walk in life as a man of faith, safeguarding your family and creating a legacy. Jean-Claude is ready to help you plan your finances with intention so that you can live with purpose. And that's just the beginning when you work with the Avior Wealth team. Visit avior.com/F3. That's AVIOR.com/F3 and see how Michael can guide your financial journey today. Now, let's get back to the gloom. And we're live. We're here at the Nomad. I've got my man Nae Nae. He had our man Armando let him in. So that's sort of a celebrity sighting. Not every guest gets to see Armando. But had you met him before?
I have, yeah. I'm used to him doing this.
Yeah.
When he says his name, so he didn't do that at first. So I'm like, who are you? But, yeah.
Did he do it eventually?
No, yeah, unfortunately.
Oh
didn't,
man,
right?
I'll have to give him a hard time.
We will.
Well, I'm super excited just because we've gotten to work out maybe just a handful of times next to each other, maybe on some runs and whatnot. But I don't know that I've heard your full story. So I'm really excited to just get the background and kind of get to know who is Nae Nae. And so where we like to start with guys is just like your journey. What was that like? Who aged you? Would love to hear like first impressions when you first showed up to that goofy group of guys working out. What'd you think?
Yeah, you're not wrong there. So it's interesting. T-Bone is a dentist in town.
Okay.
He's my dentist, and he threw it out to me like, I think, a year and a half before.
Okay. And
I remember thinking, this is nuts. Why would I get up that early? He's like, oh, there's one down by you in Springfield, the farm. And I'm like, that's way too early.
Yeah.
And fast forward, pandemic hits, we're mid to all this stuff. I was doing martial arts at the time, and my instructor closed his studio, which is literally just across the street.
Yeah.
Okay. And so everything that he has is in Fremont. Well, we're south of Weeping Water. Yeah. And so just for me to get one way is an hour. And I'm like, all right, that's not going to work. We'd been doing it for 5.5 years and it was a lot of fun. But when you're trying to prioritize different things, like what makes the most sense? Well, going up to Fremont at least twice a week, spending over 4 hours, and that's no workout. That didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So then I started biking more, and then I started running more. Well, I signed up for the Leprechaun Chase, and I was following Kevin Kline, Busser.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, what are all these stupid videos? Because like he has all these Namaramas, right? So I know what they are now, but I didn't know what they were. So I'm looking at those. And so then at the time we both worked together.
Okay.
So then I hit him up and he's like, well, why don't you come out? Of course, I picked the best time, January, to come out, right? I came out.
Dead winter.
What was my impression? Well, Shroot was still the site queue.
At the farm, right?
At the farm.
Okay,
at the farm. And Boss Hog was queuing that day. So I, in and of myself, can be extremely competitive. So I really try to dial that back. And so I don't know any of these guys. I know Buster a little bit, but not a lot. And so I'm there, and Buster's great. made sure he stayed by me and everything. But we're doing the string of pearls, and Boss Hog made me believe that if we didn't end our side straddle hops in cadence, we're going to have to do burpees. Okay, great. So he got me the first couple times, and then I noticed it like, wait a second, I'm doing burpees regardless either way.
Right.
That's just how he had it thrown in. And I was like, well, screw you guys. This sucks.
Right.
So then we got to the end, and of course, you know, we're doing the Sarpy Slammers or Rancid, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And so I think Chernobyl was there. I'm not sure, but somebody slow counted it.
Oh, yeah.
So then that's why I slow count, because I'm like, if you guys are going to get me, I'll get you. So then we go in the circle. Swiper was there. Swiper was shouting out everything that came to the top of his mind.
Typical.
You understand. You've been there. So this part is going to be interesting because this has been a serious source of contention for some people. Name Swiper for a while now. But my wife and I live on 5 acres and we have 5 kids. So he thought double nickel would be great. You're like, what, you know, because I know you've asked, I've heard sometimes you're like, well, what do you think of it? I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it's a name.
Yeah.
I just knew that once I got in the middle, I was going to say as little as possible.
Right.
I didn't want any crazy thing. I don't have tattoos, no prison time, nothing like, I just didn't want any crazy, you know, my last name is enough with whips.
Yeah.
You know, I knew it was like, we're going to get something interesting. Well, of course, this was way back before you guys had done PaxNet or anything that was actually really amazing. So we get to coffee at Black Sheep there, and Tater just happened to be there that day.
Okay.
So there's a small group of 15, but there was a lot of great guys there. So Tater's like, all right, so tell me a little bit more about yourself. So we're talking. I'm like, all right, so what's your last name? And I'm like, so I tell him, this should be Nae Nae.
Yeah.
So then he called.
Like
so then he calls and he gets shrewd. He's like, hey, did you put anything in yet? It's not official, right? Oh, so then they changed my name to Nae Nae. So then I didn't know what my name was. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, then I would say double nickel. And then some guys would be like, no, it's Nae Nae. And it was a thing for like 2.5 months. So I showed up to Wild Kingdom because I with where I'm at, I just like to explore things. So I came up, went to that. Who was there? It was Mufasa, Hard Hat, and somebody else, because like everybody pulled out their phones like, oh, well, let's see what your name is. And this was at coffee, and like, nope, it says Nae Nae right here. And so then Mufasa calls up Swiper, gives him something. I'm like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. I don't care. But yeah. So, and then Buster, one of our pre-runs, is like, honestly, dude, he goes, I thought you were going to quit. He goes, that was nuts. He goes,
the naming.
He goes, they couldn't figure your name out. I'm like, I don't think it's a big deal. Now, if you talk to Tater, if you talk to Swiper, obviously you're going to get different variations of it. But.
Yeah, I do hear every once in a while at a name when we're naming a guy, Swiper will just throw out double nickel.
Yeah,
so that he can say, nope, it's already taken.
Yeah. That's my callback. That's my unofficial callback.
I
from
love
Swiper.
it. I think I like Nae Nae better.
My wife liked Nae Nae better. She's like, double nickel. Totally wrinkled her nose. Like, no, she thought it was nuts anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, tell me a little bit about the martial arts thing, kind of from a fitness perspective. What were you were doing? What kind of martial arts? Because it sounds like it was a fitness sort of thing for you for a while.
Yeah. I did it for 5.5 years. It was really an all-inclusive type. When you think of Taekwondo, that's where you're doing the kicks. You rarely ever go to the mat.
Okay.
If you do in Taekwondo, that's a bad thing because somebody's, they've knocked you down or thrown you. And so you really, with Taekwondo, you don't want to be on the ground. Same thing with karate and a lot of that stuff. But we were doing more of a mixed martial arts. So you could do your kicks and be up, or you could be on the ground and grappling. So
like UFC type of thing? Okay.
Yeah, it was a very well-rounded form of martial arts. And so at the time, they were meeting, there was a place real close to us in Weeping Water. It was about close. It was about 12 minutes away.
Okay.
But they would also do some weapons demonstrations. And so when at the time, Cobra Kai was 9 or 10, but the instructor there gave him a 3.5 wooden katana.
So wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And that's like what William Wallace carries in Braveheart, right? Like it's a big
but it's wooden.
But
yeah, exactly. And so he comes back, and at that point I knew one of us was going to be doing martial arts. And I don't know if you've worked out with Cobra Kai, but he's extremely intense. And so I knew that if I didn't, I would be getting worked over by this kid for a while. Like it was just it was going to happen. So we did that, and then just kind of progressed. And with that, also did some Hapkido, which is a lot of joint manipulation.
Okay.
And so was able to get within that practice, if you will, 5 different black belts.
Okay. So how is that different because I feel like a lot of guys are into Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Very similar. Very similar.
Cool.
We would spend more time on our feet, whereas Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they're doing a lot more rolling,
grappling, and
a lot more.
So you could like take me down with like a pressure point or something if you wanted to.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out a few years. I would hope so. My instructor would probably kick my can if I didn't. He might kick my can anyway. But
that's kind of cool that you got to do it with your son too. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I did it with him and Dundee. So they're currently 19 and 17, and then my daughter started there a little bit at the end.
Nice.
So
that's awesome. Yeah. I think a lot of what I hear from folks that do that is there's a community aspect. It teaches kids a lot of discipline, but I don't know if that's been your experience.
Oh, no, 100%. What you said is right. It definitely teaches them discipline. My kids will say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, or no, sir, no, ma'am, quite a bit. It's nice, but then after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to hear it that many times.
You're calling me sir, dad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, no, I mean, they do it quite a bit at church and other places. My oldest two have got the lawn business. They mow quite a few lawns around here. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. So because of the pandemic, then you sort of are looking for other things. You find F3. First workout was at the farm. Where'd you find yourself? Like, are you a runner? Did you get into running? Like, kind of how did you find that rhythm?
Well, that's funny. I thought I was a good runner, and then I pre-ran with the guys, and I was like, man, I suck. So I thought I had a good pace, and I just, nobody was thinking about it. I just got blitzed, and so then I tried to get a little faster. On my fourth workout, let me tell you about my fourth workout, then we'll come back to running. Yeah. So my fourth workout was the CSOP. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
At Papillion La Vista South.
Okay.
And it was the one where it had snowed just a little bit beforehand. So look at the weather now a little bit more than I used to, but I didn't look at the weather. So I thought I had thin gloves and somebody was warming us up. And so we did a burpee. So my hands were cold the entire time. So about 3.5 hours later, and then that was the longest COT I have ever heard. It was 30 minutes and we were out. You remember that one?
I don't think I got to go to that one.
Oh, well, you were fortunate.
I think that was the one I went to the dry run and I got a flat tire, and that was where Razzle Dazzle helped me change the tire on my car, if I remember correctly. But I don't think I got to go on that actual day.
It was cold. We huddled up. Some dude, we had one FNG there. Took him a while to name him. Gave him some, I think, Goose or some stupid nickname. I don't know if that dude ever came back out. But we froze. And then as we had to do our Name-A-Rama going up the steps there.
I remember, I was just thinking that the video, I'm picturing all the guys coming up on the steps to do Nemo.
Yeah, I couldn't feel my chin that day. And so anyway, I got home an hour and a half later, my hands, I couldn't feel my fingers. So yeah, it took a while. So that was like my intro, but I mean, I wouldn't shut up about it. My wife could tell that I enjoyed it. Running, I think, is a challenge. It was just something I was like, I'm not good at. And so that's why I kind of wanted to keep doing it to get better. So the Leprechaun Chase that year was my first 10K. And then I kept going and I'm like, well, let's just see what I do. So then I did my first half that year and I was like, well, let's just keep going. So I did my first full, the Kansas City full that year. And that sucked. Yeah. So it did. It sucked. I did. The longest run I did was 14 miles.
Okay.
Which isn't amazing. I had way less mileage on my feet than I should have. I did the typical run solo all the time. That's not amazing. So then you have nobody to pace you. Don't know what you're doing. I did finish, which was nice, but I didn't finish fast enough to get a banana.
Everybody else was gone.
Hey, oh, no, yeah, seriously. I was like 5:30, 5:37, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All the bananas were gone, but I was done. A lot of my relatives and friends thought I was going to cry. I did not. I was close, but I was so slow I could call my wife and talk to her, and she was talking to me, and I'm like, all right, don't cry. But I was like right there, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, so I stuck with it, and yeah, I'm a little faster now than I was. I still have some areas of opportunity, and running is humbling. I think that's why I keep coming back to that, because it's extremely humbling. Last year, I ran 2 sub-4s within 2 weeks of each other. And then this year,
full marathon. Oh, wow. That's really good.
I ran 3 in 5 weeks last year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I ran this one this year thinking, oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it was out the window, and I was really frustrated with myself. Talked with a couple guys, John Claude and Firewalker, and they gave me some tips. Firewalker mainly gave some tips to help pick me up.
Yeah.
And John Claude gave me some, hey, this is what you should do moving forward type of stuff.
Practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming as you progress to do more of those full marathons, you had more of a regimented like training. Cause one of the interesting things I've always thought when guys are training is you actually do some intentional, like, okay, I'm going to run at a 9-minute pace, or you do a lot of that sort of in like learning how to run at maybe a slower pace so that you don't burn out. But I don't know what your experience was like with that.
Well, that's a great question. I did really none of that through the first 4.
Okay.
So like the first one, yeah, right. Yeah.
You just like pain, right? Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. So the first one I ran, I mean, the guys like asked where I was for the first 2.5 months, and like the WhatsApp was going so much, I just shut it off. Too many communications. Like the last time I checked it, I had like 1,000+ notifications.
Oh, wow.
That year.
Yeah, that's overwhelming.
Yeah, it was lots. But I did everything solo. And then last year, it was leading up to, or I just taken over at Tombstone. So I've been doing a lot more free running with guys. And so I did kind of tail off just a little bit, like a week or 2 before. But I mean, that's just what I know I need. But this year was the first year where I actually did what you were talking about, where I actually did the actual training where, hey, this is the pace you should be running at. I did none of that last year. And then,
Do you feel like it was helpful or?
It was helpful. I just didn't do enough long miles.
Okay.
And so like my long runs, I didn't do enough of those. And so I didn't do enough stretching, and I didn't do enough like slow runs just to be out on my feet. And it sounds silly to do that. But so I learned.
It's interesting just to think, right? It's maybe counterintuitive, but I think most of the runs that I do, I'm just going sort of as fast as I can, unless I'm running with somebody that needs me to slow down. But I have not done a full yet. The furthest I think I've ran is around Lake Okoboji, which is maybe 20 miles, which
you're almost there.
I should just, one of these days, I think,
if you can do 20.
Yeah. What's 6 more, right?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. So 20 is the first step, right?
Yeah.
And everybody will tell you the race starts after 20.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where the 10K is. And then it's all mental. So if you can get through that.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
I'll have to try it. I may hit you up for some tips, but talk to me a little bit about like weights sites, or what were some of the other, like, so you did a CSOP right away, which is pretty amazing, but did you
insane.
Go on any of these trips with guys to like the grandma's race or the other? Okay.
So no, I didn't do anything. I was solo. Yeah. Oh my gosh. My wife's going to love this one. My Em will love this one. So like I've done 5 marathons. She's been with me to 1.
Okay.
Okay. So that's fine. Just a lot of other things going on. And she started to cheer for somebody that she thought was me. His shirt was off. And then she realized, like, after about, because she started to video yeah, exactly. That's how bad this was.
Like, who's this video? This guy.
Yeah. She deleted that. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's bad.
Funny.
Yeah.
That
no, most of them been my own. Next year, I'm going to sign up for the Marine Corps Marathon.
Okay. What's that?
That's in DC.
Okay.
It'll be for the 250th anniversary of the country. So I figured it'd be a great way to get the family out there for a vacation. And she's actually agreed to go with me on that one. So that'll be good.
That's awesome. Now, are you from a military background?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. My dad was in the Navy. He's a corpsman medic. And then I've got, between some uncles, and then same thing on my wife's side. And then
so you've got some
grandparents. World War II and several. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yes, but not me.
But not you personally. Yeah. Okay. No, it's interesting. Yeah, that is next year, right? 250th anniversary. Yeah, that will be really cool. What about as you think about, you mentioned kind of running alone, right? And then F3 is really like all of this like fellowship, all these guys that, now, and I don't know, it sounds like maybe you knew a few of them, but talk me through, like, from the fellowship side, how did you build relationships once you got into the group?
I'm quiet, man.
Yeah, I know.
I don't build a lot of relationships. I'm there. I love what Wait Time says. And when he starts letting people know that he's not your friend,
not your friend.
I love it.
For the next 45 minutes.
Exactly. And I probably am more that way because, I've got, like, the farm is the closest. That's 25 minutes. And so everywhere else in town is a drive. Well, it's a drive anyway. But so I'm pretty locked in by the time I get there. So I forget the pleasantries. And because I don't post every day, I may not know what's going on in your life, or like maybe you and I haven't seen each other for like a week and you had how much life go on. So I don't necessarily think to ask you about, hey, how's your mom doing? Hey, how's your wife? What's going on with your sister, your job? I don't think about that. I don't mean to be robotic, but I can be extremely compartmentalized with how I'm doing it. So I'm like, all right, so my focus right now is I want to do the pre-run and I don't want to suck. So that's my focus when I get there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, because I know you can tell that I'm super muscular.
Yeah.
The shirt is holding everything in right now.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the workouts, that's the same thing. I'm trying not to suck because it's like, especially when you're down there with the Sharpie guys. And I heard what was said on one of the pods about all the Sharpie swagger, but there's a lot of hammers. And I'll say this: I hit 61 sites across Omaha this year. And there's a ton of hammers everywhere, but I've just noticed there's a couple more down there. And so you don't want to be that guy. You guys all do a good job of picking up the 6, but I don't really want to be that guy. And so that's where a lot of my competitiveness comes in. So I'll forget and I'll just shut down. I'm pretty quiet. So I'll just run, I'll listen. I might throw a comment in or there. My humor is extremely dry. And so that can be a detriment as you're trying to build relationships with guys that don't get to see a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're like, are you serious right now? So I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Plus it's early and, I mean, you went through the season right now where everybody could see you, right? Mm. And now you're bundled up again. And so can't read body language. They can't read anything and they just go off of what they know. So that's been probably a little challenging, but yeah.
Yeah. You kind of get to know, okay, who wears, who's wearing like the baklava or whatever it's called. I think
Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Or who wears, I think I saw a video recently, Jean-Claude had a big afro, like a blonde curly afro on. But well, talk me through. So when you think about F3, like one of the things we're trying to do is help guys with male loneliness. So I'm assuming you have male friends or some sort of fellowship somewhere else in your life. I don't know if that's through church but where have you found that over the years, or is that something that maybe you're working on? Or
I would say it's something I'm still working on.
Okay.
The guys that I'm probably the closest with are Busser and Oscar.
Yeah.
So I text with them weekly.
Okay.
So yeah.
And Oscar was Site Q out at Iditarod, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and man, Busser, I know we interviewed him on here and just has an amazing story. But how'd you get connected? Did you knew those guys through work? Okay.
Yeah. And so it's funny, like pre-F3, you think you're busy, and then once you're in F3, you're like, oh my gosh, hey guys, this is what we did today, or like, hey, this is what my cue is going to be, and this is what my workout is. And Buster's he's great for me because he's like, yeah, that's too hard.
Yeah,
like, let's dial it down a little bit. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do that. But they both give some pretty good feedback on that. I'd say spiritually speaking, that's more just from relationships at church, different things.
Yeah, I love it. I think, it's interesting, right? Because I think we have so many activities in all of the Fs, right? And so no one guy can possibly do them all, right? And so I think
100%.
Even just showing up and trying to give 100% effort, right, at a workout or a pre-run, to get the most out of it, right? I mean, I think went to a workout this morning and we did a book study before the workout. So instead of a pre-run, we did this book study. So then in the workout, I'm trying to go extra hard because I didn't get the pre, sort of first step stuff. But talk me through family a little bit. So and I don't know if you're familiar with the Q source, if you've done any of that. A
little,
but we sort of talk about like the concentrica, right? So your wife and your kids and sort of the relationships there. Talk me through, like, has F3 had an impact on those at all?
Like in what way?
I don't know. Like some guys will say, like, I'm in a better mood when I get home from the workout. Or,
100%.
And I don't know if like the relationship with your boys as you brought them to workouts and kind of gotten them in this sort of exercise community.
So my M can totally tell when I show up and when I don't. And so she'll just tell me, like, you need to go. Yeah. You need to go work out. I'm not a puppy, but she's like, you're like a puppy. Go work
basically,
out. But basically, yeah. And so her thing is she likes to give me a hard time. 8:30, 9 o'clock rolls around, and I'm like, I'm tired. And she goes, you're going to bed like an old man. I said, or like a guy that got up before 4 today, and worked out. But, no, she's great. I bring my sons around. That's the part that I really had to work on, is not being so incredibly competitive. I am incredibly competitive. And my 19-year-old is just a physical freak, and he's fast. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't like working out with you sometimes. And I've had to dial that back. And so some days I'm more agreeable with that. And some days I'm like, nope, nope, not today. I'm not having any of that today. So, but no, I think if anything, it's um the two of them have done, at least my oldest two have done a really good job on working out
Hmm.
and really taking good care of themselves. And it's noticeable uh, from people within their business that they have, and then also within church. So they get a lot of compliments on that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
How many kids do you have?
I have five.
You have 5.
I
Oh,
have
wow.
five.
What mix of boys and girls, and
Thankfully, four boys and one girl.
4 boys, 1 girl, and ages from
19 to 6.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the same wife.
Okay. Yeah.
We just celebrated 26 years this last Thursday.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What, as you're thinking about like being married for 26 years and having kids that are doing it right, what has worked? What sort of lessons learned would you share with guys? I know we're all kind of trying to be better husbands and fathers.
Oh man, I said this last week. I think just being intentional, just I think that's the biggest thing. I think we mean to, and I don't think we get out of the circle or the COT or whatever, and then we go about our days. And I don't think we mean to, but my pastor said something that I thought was pretty interesting. And he's a pretty busy guy, but he goes, he has a rule that if his wife or his kids call, it doesn't matter what he's doing, he'll take the call. Exactly.
That's
And
great.
I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that's some intentional stuff because
Yeah.
he's written, a few books and he's done a lot of other things. And so I think I think with that mindset, trying to make sure that my family know that, especially my wife knows that she's still first place and that my
Mm.
kids know that they're first place. So I try to make sure that I'm not that guy that comes home and just watches football. I used to be that guy.
Yeah.
We were newly married and I think it was like, I don't know. Sports is on all the time. And then it's like, well, it doesn't really matter. And so now with running and a lot of the running that I'm doing, I might miss half a football game. And no offense to the guys that like the Huskers, that probably isn't a bad thing, but
It works out.
Iowa sucks too, but that's okay. At the end of the day, it's like, what did I miss? I didn't miss anything. And so if I get
Yeah.
time with my kids, those are the things that means more to them long term than like, oh, dad, watch TV with us. Like,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah, for sure.
I try to be more intentional. If they were here, I'm not sure exactly how they would word that. Like, oh, he is, but that's the thing. Like tonight, I'm taking them to String of Lights, and I took
Oh, yeah.
Cobra Kai out when Wait Time did it first time 2 years ago. Loved it,
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. And so he was raving about it, and he was telling Dundee, he's like, "No, dude, you got to go." So
Yeah. So one of the questions I was going to ask, so I have 3 girls, right? So raising boys is foreign to me other than I was, I had 2 older brothers, but
Sure.
we're reading this book, Wild at Heart. I don't know if you ever read
yeah,
that.
I've read it.
But talk me through like, what is it, because I think what's cool is like your kids see you as sort of like the man that they maybe want to become someday, right? I think is maybe how it works. But like in that book, they talk about like rites of passage or even just like, getting around other men that are like-minded. And so I don't know, like curious, like when you get to bring your boys out to an F3 sort of thing and they're around all these other guys that are sort of similar, like what, I don't know, has that had an impact or what do you think as you're trying to raise boys into men, what's that like?
Oh, it's challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging, man, because you always want to be the guy,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, great. But here's the reality. They do too.
Mm.
And so, at the end of the day, whether it's your sons or that next dude that you're trying to just put your ego down.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And just make sure that you make sure it's about them. And that's the thing that I've been working on, back to that intentional part. But yeah.
I think that's really, really good. It's interesting, right? Because sometimes we can get caught up in like the tree, trying to get another guy out. I've also had it sort of affect me where I haven't EH'd somebody that I don't really want to work out with, and it's sort of like my wife's like, why didn't you tell him about the workout? I'm like, I don't want him there, I should be, it's like we should be offering to everybody, but it's one of those things. I don't know if it's my ego or what.
I mean, all right, people say this and this is true. You're not gonna be friends with everybody, and that's just how it works, and right, wrong, or indifferent, we do have sectors in Omaha. Maybe this person's in that group or this personally, I could care less.
Right.
I could give a rip. That's why I went to 61 different sites. There's a detriment to that, I'll tell you, because maybe you don't have some of that cohesion like you were asking me about earlier. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, I show up and like, I saw a few guys and like, hey, Nae Nae, how you doing today? And I was like,
Yeah.
that was great, you know, because I haven't seen some of those guys in a couple months. And that's, I think for me, that's what F3 is more about. F3 is more about bringing the community together, and maybe that dude that you don't like, I totally get that. You slide his number over to some
Yeah,
other dude
that's-
at EHM, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. There's guys there that I'm like, yeah, you're not my cup of tea, and that's okay. You know, it's a big melting pot.
Maybe
and-
part of the purpose of it. Yo, Gloom listeners, it's your boy, The Plague. Let me talk to you about our brother, Amazin, a.k.a. Patrick McNamara with McNamara Law Firm right here in Old Town Elkhorn. Amazin serves as outside counsel for small business owners, helping to form contracts, review agreements, and provide practical advice that keeps you focused on growth. He also works with families to create living trusts that protect your kids and safeguard what you've built. Reach out to our brother, Amazin, today at McNamara Law Firm and start putting the right plan in place for your business, your family, and your future. I love, the other thing I would ask you about, because I know you have a strong faith, right? From what I've gathered, some of the conversations we've had, but talk me through your would love to hear like the backstory on that. Like, how did did you grow up going to church, or, talk me through like what's been your experience on the faith side?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in church since I was 5.
Okay.
No, and I'm 50 now, so yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the eyebrows there. Yeah,
You don't
I
look
mean,
50 though, by the way.
I appreciate
you
that.
look good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, Cobra Kai will say that. He goes, "You look good, Dad, for your age." I'm like,
Is that a compliment?
"There's a compliment there somewhere." Exactly. There's a compliment. I know how you meant that. But same thing, man. It's just being intentional. My pastor said something that was really key before. Well, it was November 30th service, right? And so it's like, everybody's rolling into January 1st and like, hey, I know what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I said, great. Why don't you take that and why don't you start it tomorrow, December 1st? And so it's like, why wait? Like, if you know what you want to do it now. And so, with faith, it's like sometimes we open the Bible, or maybe I'll open the Bible and I'm like, all right, I want to read this to get through, because I want to check mark it, and he made a comment, like, hey, when I read the Bible, I will go over some of the same verses. Now, I'm not to this point, but he said 30 times. And I'm like, that's a lot, dude. But he's also, he's teaching and he's got that mantle on him to preach. I'm just trying to learn. And so I started reading some of the verses like at least twice. And I've noticed, being that intentional, I'm getting more out of it. So
Yeah, really good.
I mean, all right. So to answer your question, I think the biggest thing where I messed up was I thought that I had to be perfect, right? Or perfectionistic. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Like, well, hey, you're in this, you're in F3. Cause I hear this, like Cobra Kai, like he tries to EH some of his friends, like, oh, it's horrible. It's this and that. We're going to run you through the ground. I'm like, all right, dude, not exactly what I'm going for there. Like, I would really like it if you like, hey, we're trying to do this. So finally I EH'd a couple, like his friend, Guns N' Roses, and then his friend's dad, Angus, showed up at the Thankful Trot out at the berm.
Oh yeah, we met.
Yeah, exactly. Which was horrible because I was over at Sandlot. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Because Guns N' Roses, his first name is Axel, right? And he's a drummer, I think, or a guitar player or something.
He might, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, so we got him in, and I don't know where I was going with that. You said something.
Oh, about being a perfectionist.
Yeah, so I was really worried about being perfectionistic with everything, and as far as a Christian is concerned, and that is a really horrible way to go, whether in life, because you don't allow grace for yourself, you don't allow grace for others. And so when you're so intense like that, and I kind of lean that way anyway, the intense part. So then I really focus more on, let's go as straight to excellence. And see, the Bible talks more about excellence than it does perfectionism. At the end of the day, there's only one perfect man, and that was Jesus Christ. And so if I can strive as myself to be in a spirit of excellence in everything I do, I'm going to screw up, which I hate doing, and I'll kick my butt sometimes too much when I do. But if I can be excellent in things, then that also will show up in other areas, and people will see that, and they'll be more attracted to that. Perfectionistic, they're not as attracted to that, because then they think, well, this guy doesn't screw up. This guy doesn't make mistakes. There's no way I can do that.
Yeah, there's kind of like this, you make it look unattainable.
100%.
And I think in seasons of my life, I was the same way, right? Trying to be perfect, knowing full well inside that I wasn't. And I think that's really can be challenging. You feel like as you have grown up in the church and bringing your boys along, like how have you worked to kind of instill faith in them, or what's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, we homeschool. I told
Okay.
people that we homeschooled our kids before it was popular.
Yeah.
So,
Before the pandemic.
oh, dude, yeah, I was working. I was working at the time, and I had to go home, and so that was an issue for my family. So
Mm,
I got the six at home, and so like my M would tell everybody, "Hey, let's clean up," because I had a 40-minute commute.
yeah.
And so the house would look clean. Well,
Right.
now I'm walking downstairs, house isn't clean. She's
You're
like,
like, wait a minute.
yeah, exactly. She's like, you got to temper those things. She goes, we got other things. We actually have real life that goes on. So
Mm,
as far as faith is concerned, we made a change right around the pandemic, to a different church. I think what people want, my age, your age, younger, is that when they go to church, they want an encounter. They don't necessarily need an experience. Like the coffee, okay, great.
yeah.
But they want an encounter. They actually want to be able to feel that tangible presence and feel like God loves them, which he actually does, but they
Mhm.
actually want to feel like that. And I think, you can drill those things in with your kids as much as possible. But then as they're getting older, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I got a 6-year-old. But then you got to like with a 19 and 17-year-old, you're kind of like more like a bumper rail,
Yeah.
if you will. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what do you think? And then give them advice, or like if are you asking me a question right now?
Right.
Because sometimes I fall into the aspect of like dad mode sometimes too much, and like, oh no, you have to do this way. Well, that doesn't really help, and that doesn't help them. To your question, doesn't help them with their faith journey if I'm telling them things. And so a lot of it, back to what you're asking, is I have to live those things out. And so then as I screw up, I mean, you've got 3 kids, so you'll experience this at some point, I'm sure, with your age range. But with my age range, it's boy, boy, girl, then 2 boys. And
Yeah.
so honestly, the oldest 2 and the younger 2 with their baby pictures look almost identical. Personalities are very close, but they're swapped as far as oldest, youngest, and then youngest, oldest type of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
And so I made the comment to them. I'm long-winded, I'm getting there, but I
No,
made
I
the
love it.
comment to them that you're going to see me do things differently with the younger 3. And it's not because I love them any more than I love you guys. But the fact of the matter is, as a dad, as a parent, I am looking back and realizing, hey, maybe I didn't do that right. Maybe I wasn't good there. And you have to understand, like, I had no experience with you guys first. Like,
Right.
everything was on the fly.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh my God, I was an idiot. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I was too far back. I already did some of this stuff. I was committed,
Right.
and like, I can't change, because I mean, by the point where I would have changed, it already passed.
Right.
And so I have those open conversations with them. Like,
That's awesome.
guys, I screwed up, this is
Yeah.
what it is. And just being vulnerable and being honest. Try to bring them in on everything. Try to bring them in on life, whether there's finances, and try not to hide anything back, because there's no point. Because at the end of the day, to what you were talking about earlier, that part inside they'll see. At least with my kids, I try to be as open and as honest as I can. And I think, to your question, I think that helps
Yeah.
with the faith aspect.
I love it. And just thinking about, my kids, right? They're 10, 4, and 15 months. And, I think I have not done as good a job explaining to my oldest, like, hey, here's why we're doing things a little bit differently. Cause we learned, right? We learned, like, hey, that didn't go so well. And so, I love the idea of just pulling them into that experience so that they understand. Cause you want them to do the same thing, right? As they learn and grow and make mistakes, they're going to
I mean, that's the plan,
change
right?
behavior. Yeah.
I want them to be better, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
love it.
plan.
That's really, really cool. I am curious, I think just when I hear, some of your story and just like your journey, the way you kind of navigate life, right? You're competitive. You've kind of dealt with some perfectionism. You've got like a lot of wisdom and insight. Just curious, like how did Nae Nae become the Nae Nae that I'm talking to today? Any sort of like formative moments or experiences or lessons that you feel like along the way really have shaped you to be this great man that I'm talking to today?
Man, I'm not sure about great man. I appreciate that compliment. I'll tell you this. Taking the flag was extremely humbling. Taking that flag, that
Well, because
was,
you launched
yeah, I launched
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
And that was extremely humbling. And little caveat on that, Tater had a throwaway comment because the pre-run route sucks.
Yeah.
It's horrible there. And he he had a throwaway comment like, he goes, all those hills. He goes, I doubt they're going to keep that. He goes, probably 4 or 5 weeks that'll be different. I was like, well, screw that. I'm keeping it. So we kept it. And it's tough, but it's just the mentality of what I wanted to do there. I wanted it to be a tough site. I wanted you to come and feel the grind. I mean, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
We get up. And so I think, there was several weeks, where I was pre-running on my own and doing that. And, looking at my M the night before, like, I hate the rain. So I would skip most of the times in the rain and like, man, I don't like the rain.
When you have the flag, right?
Right. You don't have a choice. Like, guess who's going? But I think those days help. I think traveling, and putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, I mean, I'm pretty positive, I'm very open with my faith. And so I'm sure that some guys are like, nope, I'm not going. That's okay. I'm good with that. I had some guys be like, oh, you're just going to run. I'm like, I've never gone to a workout site and just run. I've gone to running sites and run because that's what the running sites are for. Yeah. I don't do that at a workout. And so I found that interesting that some guys would skip, I was told. But I think back to the question, it's just I've gotten more comfortable with who I am. You run a few marathons and you find a lot about who you are and you just dig through it and they're not amazing. Especially when you don't hit the time that you're wanting to hit. And with FT and with my faith and with my family, you don't really have that option as a site lead, as a parent, as a husband. I mean, I guess you have options, but I don't look at them that way. One of my mentors always said when we went through marriage counseling, like, plan A is you stick with the marriage and plan B is you go back to plan A. There is no plan B.
Right. Yep.
And so I think just because of my mentality, I had all that drilled into me. I didn't think of doing anything else. And so once I got through it, having all the guys, I prided myself on the fact that we didn't have any repeat cues for the year. I didn't want any repeat cues. I'd been around enough guys. I wanted enough guys out there. I wanted to get as many different guys there. Again, it wasn't about me. It was about the site.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't even know if I answered your question, but.
No, it's great. It's interesting. I do think a lot of us spend, and I can speak for myself, right, sort of spend a lifetime looking for things in the world to define us, right? Maybe it's material things like a car or a house or a job title or and I do see that in you, just this confidence in sort of who you are as a man, and I think that maybe comes from your faith, but
it does. I'll say it does, because the reality is, whether people want to realize it or not, is we were all made in the image of God, which is a really crazy thing to think about when you think about it, because there's how many people, and then for people to realize that you're made like that. And that's why, without getting into the weeds and a bunch of other stuff, that's why what you just said is key, because if everybody is looking at things from a faith perspective first, so they're going inward out, then everything else, it's not saying that you can't have those, it just makes those a lot easier. But if you're solely focused on the outward in, then you're going to miss it, whether it's material things or other things, or making yourself the sole focus.
Yeah.
And
I forget who wrote the book, but there's a book I read that's kind of like that. It's up, in, out, or something, sort of this idea, right? That like, get filled up from God and then, have that be what pours out of us. And I think so often we get, we're looking to the world to sort of validate who we are. And, and I think, and I don't know if there's anything you did intentionally over time, books or activities or,
dude, I love,
things that you've looked at that have been helpful in just sort of making you more confident and sure in the truth of who you are and sort of God created in the image of God.
Well, I mean, the Bible's a good one. The Bible's a good one, but I mean, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, man, those books that they wrote, the extreme ownership stuff. I went to one of their musters, and my gosh, like if you can get to that, I mean, that really boils it down. They're SEALs, and and they do talk about faith a little bit, but JP Donnell there is amazing, and they got some really good stuff. But it boils down to you. It's at the end of the day, it's all you. Like. And that's what's missing from a lot of people. A lot of people want to sit here and like, plague, my boss sucks. And hey, this. Yeah, well, you know what? Your boss might suck. But here's the reality. At the end of the day, your work might really lack. And there might be some things that are going on. And because you have focused on that so long, you're taking the ownership out of it and you're trying to put it everywhere where it really shouldn't be. And so I would say at the end of the day, like I fell into that because like where I was at, I hated where I was at.
Yeah.
But that was my fault. Like I should have left a long time ago. And so when I left, then I kind of made transition, worked with my sons with their lawn business and different things. But I think it's more just making sure that, as men that we're stepping up and embracing who God has made us to be, but also, owning it. Like you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. No,
I love it because
James Clear's book. What was that?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits is awesome. Like those little things, like if you can get 1% better, 100%.
I absolutely love, right? Because these are books that maybe most guys don't connect to faith or like their, identity, right? But I love what you're saying, right? Is like God in creating us in his image, giving us, dominion over things, right? Like we've got to take ownership of that and we've got to put some systems or habits in place to make sure that we don't fall to the way of the world. So I love that you're connecting the dots there. Because I think a lot of guys have read those books, but more from like I want to be more productive, or maybe I just like the fact that Jocko's this huge seal or whatever.
He's huge, dude. I mean, he's even bigger in person.
I was going to say, yeah.
And I mean, so it's funny because Extreme Ownership is great and that's what they're all known for. But their second book, Dichotomy of Leadership, is actually better.
Okay.
Because Leif was saying this when I was talking to him. He goes, everybody was like, oh, it's extreme ownership, you know how he talks.
Yeah.
And he goes, and what we realized, he goes, everybody was going either to this side or that side with everything. It was like, no, guys, stay right here. They were going one way or the other. And so I said, actually, that's the book that I like the most. He goes, really?
Love it. Yeah, I found another one that's, it's like a field notes book, but it's like strategies and tactics.
Oh yeah. The field, what is it called? The FTC. I know exactly which one. I've
that
got
one's really good too.
It's phenomenal.
I feel like, and some of it is, I think like in all spheres, right? It's like some of it applies maybe to family and work and.
Well, everything does. Yeah. So like little plug for those guys that are looking for something to do January 1st, go look up Jocko's stuff and Echelon Front. They've got a perfect regimen. It's 8 things to do. And it's basically a fool's guide on how to just lead. What did they say? Lead, win.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What? So talk me through. We started talking a little bit about the Tombstone, but would love to talk through. How did that come about? Like,
that was funny.
All of a sudden, we need a site, and you're the guy, or what was that?
I don't know. You could ask Shrew, Duracell, and KOA. I think they thought that I was supposed to be the guy, and I had an idea. That's why I was there. Because those guys typically haven't just like out of the blue reached out to me. I'm like looking at my phone like, what's going on here? Yeah. So I went, it was last year during the Murph Challenge, which, God bless Edger and those guys. I hate Murphs. Yeah. Like I'll show up every now and then.
They're doing an extra challenge, right?
Yeah. I mean, good on you, but no, it's not, that ain't me. Yeah. And so I showed up and we were at Westmont Elementary, and I was like looking around. It's nice. Yeah. The only thing I wish it had was a track, but that's just selfish.
Yeah.
We could figure it out. But so then they kind of dropped it, and they were funny because Schrute was like, yeah, because this is closer to you. And I'm like, no, this is further. This is further.
It's actually not.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, really? It's further? I'm like, yeah, this is further. And so I was like, well, let me think about it. Let me pray about it. And they kind of looked at me and were like, well, I get it. It's a commitment. Like you're not asking me to go lead the site for a day. You're asking me to lead it for a month.
Yeah.
And so my wife's like, I don't know what you're going to be doing next year. She goes, but I think it probably would be a good idea if you did it now versus later. Cause I mean, you got 5 kids.
Yeah.
My oldest he's officially a firefighter now.
Oh, wow.
On an Avoca, and then our second oldest is doing, he's doing computer graphics.
Okay.
Where he's actually doing a bunch of that, and he's like computer animation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's learning how to do that with like some of his actual things that he's created, which is neat. Cool. So my daughter's got like farmer's market type of stuff that she does. And so anyway,
so you're busy.
I got life.
Yeah.
Just like every other guy that's listening to this. They're like, yeah, we get it. Shut up. I got life too. Yeah. So I just figured that'd be the best time to do it. The thing I was concerned about is 1, my gosh, I got to fill up this queue schedule, and 2, winter. Like I don't want to go through winter, and got through both of those. And then it was like March of this year, like crap, I got to pass this thing. And I know that's early to start thinking about it, but you know, it's like, who am I going to pass it to? I knew exactly who I wanted to give it to. He was very reluctant.
Okay.
That's all right. I can say his name. A's got it now, but he was reluctant, and that's okay. I get it, you know. So I asked him, and then he didn't say anything for about a month. So then I asked him again. He didn't say anything.
Gave you the cold shoulder.
No, I appreciate it, you know, because it's like, I want somebody that realizes, hey, this is a big deal, versus somebody like, hey, I'm just going to take it. That ain't it, man. It is a big deal, you know, because you're a representation of F3 Omaha. Sure, you're part of Sarpy, but you're still a representation of F3 Omaha.
Yeah.
And you got to represent, you got to be a certain way. And I might not have any say on the next guy, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to have a say on who was following me. And so I wanted to make sure that that guy was closer to what I wanted.
Yeah. Talk me through the name. How'd you land on the name, the Tombstone? What was
that was my favorite movie.
Vision behind that? Oh, okay.
Favorite movie. My oldest son's named Wyatt. I loved how Kurt Russell portrayed Wyatt Earp in Tombstone. I can't tell you how many different times I've seen that. And so, all right. So funny on that is the tag originally was supposed to be where F and G's go to die. So
they wouldn't let you put that on the shirt. Would they?
So Tater and Khakis were like, Khakis especially, just you know, looked at me like that's bad.
Yeah.
And so we said we ended up it ended up coming down to Rip Sad Clown. So that's on the actual.
Did you at one point have a Bible verse on there? And
I did, yeah. And I was told I couldn't.
Okay. What was the verse? You remember?
I don't. Okay. I don't remember. And I was like, you could put it on the flag. And I really wanted just to do it anyway, but because I had to go through F3 Nation, I didn't. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So you've got RIP Sad Clown on there.
Yeah.
I love it. And remind me, who did you pass it to?
A. Marcus Rand.
Okay. A, like EH is his name.
EH with an apostrophe because he's Canadian. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, tell me a little bit. You know, you mentioned leading a site's a big deal. You're representative of F3 Omaha. Do you feel like you, from a leadership perspective, learned it? Like, what did that teach you about leading or leading others, or anything in that space that you learned, or any advice for other guys that are site Qs or maybe thinking about being a site Q?
Yeah, where were we at on time? We good?
Yeah, we're good. We
Okay.
got about, we're good. We're over 50.
Okay. Man, if we're over 50, we'll make Firewalker happy. So.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it is a responsibility, you know, treat it like that. You know, let me say it this way. If you go into a restaurant or if you're a visiting team in a locker room, right, and you're done, your motto should be to leave it better than you found it. So with F3, yeah, we got some crazy, stupid exercises we do and crazy names, and we may or may not have our rear ends up and down, shaking and different things, you know, for some of them. But at the end of the day, if you're the site Q, you really don't want to be the guy that is responsible for the drop in the culture at your site.
Yeah.
Because I've heard from some guys on Halfway House or different things, and like, well, I used to like going to blah, blah, blah. And so my thought back to them is, okay, well, why don't you go though and be the change that you saw it was originally?
Yes.
Well, it's easier to go here. Well, okay, fine. Then you're just part of the problem. That may or may not be why I have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I'm extremely direct with things. But I mean, you know, I think it's good to call things out.
Yeah.
You know, I think guys get too lax with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's not the perfectionistic part. It's just the excellence. You know, I got called out with something. My son was leading an Oracle, and he told the guys to get doing something, and I was quick. Hey, you guys aren't there. And Tater was quick to let me know. He goes, "You're not the Q." Like, dang, you know, he goes, "You're being a good dad, but you're not the Q." So, you know, all right. So, but I think that's what we need, though. You know, we need that there because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, when you're there, you know, you got a bunch of clowns running around with you, having a fun time, throwing cinder blocks and doing weights and all that other stupid stuff. But at the end of the day, you're representing F3 Omaha, F3 Nation. And, you know, I think I haven't been down range a lot, but the times that I have, I've heard the guys nationally come here and say it from Tater and different things, but it's very special here.
Yeah.
And I went to Naples, Florida on a vacation, and I was there, and Woodstock was with me.
Okay.
And I knew I was going to post. There's a couple really cool places to post down there. So we posted, and I took my flag with me.
Yeah.
My father-in-law looked at me like I was nuts. He's like,
took it on the plane and everything.
No, dude.
Oh, you drove?
We RV'd.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's get that.
That's different. Yeah.
That's another story. But we RV'd, and so I'm like, well, if his golf clubs are going in, my flag's going in, and so yeah, I got it in, and guys love the flag. Guys absolutely like, oh my gosh, they didn't have anything that cool. Although one of the beach was pretty sweet. They had an oar.
Oh, that would be cool.
That they planned on, like, dude, that's sweet.
Love it.
Yeah.
What, it's so cool because I think this is what we have talked about. So I do a separate podcast with Dread and Dark Helmet, right? And
I may have listened to that one a couple times.
So one of the things we talk about, right, is like, how do we get guys to hold the middle? And I think a lot of it, like we see this sort of, if I don't know who I am, I don't know what I believe, then I'm less likely to feel comfortable being direct and maybe pushing back, or, I don't know if you see it that way too, but I feel like because you're confident in who you are, you're not so focused on like hurting somebody's feelings necessarily, or like having to impress people. So you're comfortable to say, hey, why don't you go? Like I'm sort of trying to connect the dots there, but I don't know if you feel the same way, but I do feel like if we can help more guys be comfortable in who God created them to be, maybe we would give each other more of this necessary feedback.
I think so, but I just think guys just have to open up their mouths. I think
sometimes on your mind.
I think guys sometimes you get laxed with things and they don't mean to be. But all right, so one thing, I think the connection part, like what you were talking about, is important. I don't even know how this is going to wrap in, but I wanted to say this is something I got from Animal House. And so when I cue, one thing I always try to do is I always try to reach out to the guys that were there that day, maybe not necessarily in a Murph site. Yeah. Because sometimes, you see there's like, I'm here and I didn't do a workout.
Right.
I mean, I didn't plan it. Like, we know what we're going to do. I don't change it up. We don't do like 5 sets of 10 or 10 sets of 2 for, you know what I'm saying?
Just do the Murph. Yeah.
Exactly. Just shut up and do the Murph. You know what you're going to do. But I try to reach out to the guys that are there when I cue, just to go ahead, and it's just a little thing like, hey man, thanks for coming out. Doesn't mean something to everybody all the time, but every now and then you get, hey man, I really appreciate it. Hey, I appreciated this. And that, to your point, is another way to have that connection. And so then if somebody is off or somebody is saying something and then you say something, hey, like, hey, not this or not that, because I'm cool with a lot of I won't say I'm cool, but sometimes there might be some things that go on in the circle. And it's like, I get it. But if you got a 13-year-old in there, I'm going to nip it after a while. I'm like, yeah, that ain't it. This ain't the time for that. Yep. And so I think you just have to be aware of when things are going on and what's going on. But those text messages that I got from Animal House, those are important because, again, you might not see the guy for another week, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's good to have that little connection.
Heck yeah. I love it. This has been awesome just hearing your story. And I love, I think what's interesting to me, right, is just unpacking sort of, how you got to be the man that you are today. And I think the underlying thing is hopefully we in F3, by having guys like you come out, we can help other guys do that, right? Maybe a guy's lost or, is sort of searching, and so I love getting to unpack your story and just appreciate your leadership. It's really cool hearing too how you're trying to build this legacy of really faith and excellence with your kids too. I think that's really, really cool. I think all of us are, as parents or as fathers, right, we're trying to figure that out together. And so I just love hearing your insights there, but would love to kind of where we like to land with guys is like current state. Where do you need prayers or encouragement or support? Anything that you're maybe going through when next time we see you out there, what's something that we should maybe check in with you on to see how it's going?
Man, that's the vulnerable part. I don't do that a whole lot, Plague. Man, I think it's funny. So I just ran my last marathon. I had visions of going better or just as good as last year, and I was horrible with it. And so Jean-Claude and Firewalker were like, well, you just got to run more. Got to go slower, but you got to run more. None of those things make sense, right? To people that don't run a lot. And so I think probably just making sure that I am not hard on myself, because those perfectionistic things still show up. And I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not the youngest one out there, but God, I want to be. Yeah. I always say I'm not a professional, but God knows I want to be. So, modify as necessary, but yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come and tell your story.
Yeah,
we'll
for sure,
do a little Nemo to wrap us up here.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Fleehardy, 39, the Plague.
And I'm Chris Whip's 50, Nae Nae.
Nae Nae. And do we do the Nae Nae dance? Or
Tater would love it if I did, but I don't.
And we've confirmed it's Nae Nae. It's not double nickel. So Swiper, if you're listening or watching, It's Nae Nae.
All right. Appreciate it.
Love it. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah. Every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaping the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill.